Good morning, everyone. We just have a few more people that seem to be joining right now, and we'll get started in just a minute. All right. Number seems to be steady on participants. So thanks everyone for being here today. Welcome to the Virginia Opioid Abatement Authority's 2024 Abatement Academy. This is our first in the series of webinars we'll be doing through the end of the calendar year. They're all posted on our website, and we'll have the link to that at the end of this presentation. Today's presentation is focusing on the annual reporting requirements for cities and counties that have individual distributions and or cooperative partnership awards that were awarded for the July 23 through June 24 period. Before I dive into that, I did want to take a moment to introduce some staff that since some of our last webinars may be new to some of you. So I'm not new. Charlie Lintecum, I'm the Director of Operations, been here for getting close to 2 years now. I am with OAA as a grant-making agency. I am over all of the grants processes from soup to nuts and everything in between, as well as the outreach to city and county officials and state agencies, as well as technical support. But a newer addition to our team from back in May is our Senior Grants Compliance Analyst, Sharekka Bridges, who is on and will be presenting with me today. Sharekka's role is to help with all of the dotting of the I's and crossing of the T's with applications and award packages and reporting and making sure that you all have the support you need to figure out how to get stuff into these different buckets and forms, as well as track things and document things on our end, as well as probably a host of other things. She's been a fantastic addition to the team. We've also added some regional abatement resource coordinator positions. And in a minute, I'll show you the map of where these kind of OAA regions that we've created. But in our northern region, we have Kat Dupre. In our eastern region, we have Jenny Sawyer. And in our western region, many of you are familiar with Cindy Newman, who's been on about 1.5 years with us. We have a central region that we're still working on recruiting for, but this is what our kind of regional map looks like. This was developed based on trying to keep community service board groups together and trying to figure out drive times and mountains and interstates and things like that. So you can see the colors in the purple. The central region, as we mentioned, is still vacant. You can reach out to Kat, Jenny, Cindy, myself, Sharekka, anyone else, our info at VOAAUS if you're in this area and you're needing some technical assistance. Additionally, we've created like a little headquarters region, which is the cities and counties that are very close into the city of Richmond, where our headquarters is. That's another one you can reach out to any of us, including our info at VOAAUS email, and we'll be happy to assist you. And you can see contact information for Kat, Jenny, and Cindy there. For those of you in Kat and Jenny's region, expect they will be reaching out to you as they're getting their feet under them and getting a chance to get out into the community. They are serving the same function that Cindy has to provide technical assistance, to feedback, reviewing applications, and all those sorts of things. So our agenda for today around annual reports, we're focusing on the fiscal year 2024 period of performance, individual distribution and cooperative partnership awards. This also includes any gold standard awards that are related to either program. We'll look at the reporting workbooks for both. We'll walk through each tab as well as the instructions for each of them. So we'll start with the instructions. We'll go to the narrative report, the financial report, and then the personnel and operating and capital tabs that feed the financial report. There will also be the performance measures report, and then there's a general ledger attachment requirement, and then for those who that have capital costs, there's an additional requirement for them. And one thing I want to note as we're going through here, we're looking for, actual numbers. We're looking to compare what was approved in the application by the grants committee and through the award package versus what you've actually done over the course of this performance period. And we do understand, especially when it comes to the performance measures, that many of you got a late start. Or things happen slower than expected. You're building new programs. This is new territory for you all. So this is just a normal process for grants. We need to be able to track what's happening with these programs. And this will be something that'll happen going forward each year. But by next year, it will happen in our grants system. And so some of the processes will be a little easier because data that has already been, confirmed through like the award process will automatically populate for you. So you just have to fill in the actuals that have happened. So I want to highlight, this is our performance period, July of 23 through June of 24. So we're looking for anything that happened in that time related to expenditures that occurred in these months, as well as like programmatic results that occurred in these months. We're not looking for things that happened before July of 23 or after June of 24. Those are in different periods. There weren't any grants really that existed before July of 23. It's only one, and that one's already been taken care of. And then starting in July of 24, that's the next FY25 performance period that award packages have very recently been sent out for. The report for that will be due in September of next year. So please make sure you're focusing on these months. And it's okay if you didn't get anything, your money, and really didn't get started until January or February. And we don't expect anything to happen through here. Additionally, if you got started a little early before the money got to you and you had to do some journaling to take money off of how you paid it out initially to put it on the funds from us, as long as we can see that in transactions, that's fine as well. We expect that, especially in this first year. So we have our two workbooks, and briefly, I want to show you they are currently available on our grants portal. If you go to the grants portal, you'll see in the grants portal on the presentation right now. Yep, great, thank you. Normally, if you go to our grants portal, OAA.us, and hit grants portal, you'll come to this tab. If you have an individual city or county grant on either tab, it's the same report sitting right here. And the same thing for cooperatives. If you're the fiscal agent for a cooperative partnership, it's sitting right here. You're welcome to go pull those up, download them, and walk through them with us as Sharekka walks you through the report. And so, one workbook is specific just to individual distribution awards that went to individual cities and counties for awards that are being executed by that city or county with any subrecipients. And then there's cooperative partnerships, which are go to the fiscal agent that was elected amongst that group of city and counties for that particular grant. So please ensure you have the correct workbook for the type of project that you have. Each project needs a separate workbook. But the one exception to that is if you had individual distribution and or gold standard funds granted to you, awarded to you that were as matching funds on a cooperative project, all those matching funds should go with the cooperative partnership annual report. And so all that needs to run through the fiscal agent, city or county. So if I've got 5 cities or counties and they're all providing matching funds, I still only want one cooperative partnership annual report, and that should contain all of the data for whatever happened with all of those cities and counties, however the project was put together and executed. So from here, I will turn it over to Sharekka to walk through more of the specifics of the report, starting with the individual distributions annual reporting. And please note, we do have a couple of spots for questions, for question breaks as we go through. All right, Sharekka.
Good morning, everyone. So the first thing that we'll cover today is the individual distribution annual reporting workbook. And the first tab will include instructions. So a few points in terms of the instructions that I would like to highlight. We want you to remember and keep in mind that this is a requirement for your fiscal year 2024 individual distribution award. This reporting workbook must be submitted to the OAA via email, and you'll see the email address here on the screen, info@voaa.us, by 11:59 on September the 1st, 2024. And then all tabs must be completed and submitted, and your report must be certified by your city or county executive or their designee. So those are just a few high-level points that we wanted to make in terms of the instructions. We do recommend that you read the instructions very carefully because it will provide some additional context and information on how to complete the different reporting tabs. So the first tab will include your narrative report. In this narrative report, at the top of the screen, you'll see your city or county name, you'll see the project name, and then the grant type is already selected for you for this individual distribution reporting workbook. So once you enter this information into the narrative tab, it's going to pre-populate all of the other tabs, so you won't have to re-enter that information. There is a drop-down option for the city or county name, so you'll just click that drop-down option to select your city or county name, but you will have to manually enter your project name into the narrative tab. All of the boxes that are highlighted in blue, those are for your records to just know that you need to enter some type of information into those boxes. As you go through the workbook, you'll see that some of the boxes are highlighted in blue and some are in gray. The blue items, you will have to enter information. The gray highlighted items are already going to pre-populate. We have formulas embedded into the workbook, so you will not have to enter text or information into the gray items. In this first box on the narrative report, we want you to indicate and provide us with a narrative update on the status of your project. Again, we're looking for information for the fiscal year 2024 period of performance. So again, that's that July 1st, 2023 through June 30th of 2024. In this first box, we want to know, in terms of your project, what went well. So what project successes did you have? And then if you've had any challenges, we want you to elaborate on what those challenges entailed, and then what actions were you able to implement to basically overcome those challenges. Next slide, I'm sorry. Okay, so you can see here the red highlighted sections, so boxes 2 and 3. And box 2, we want to have a narrative update on your project's impact to your city or county's community. So we want to know, based on your locality's abatement efforts, what has been the impact? This is an opportunity for you. We have a component of the report, which we'll cover a little later, that touches on your performance measures and those outcomes and objectives. But this is an opportunity for you to provide us with a narrative update in terms of how those outcomes and objectives have positively impacted your city or county community. And then the third box, we want you to provide us with a narrative update or any plans for your project sustainability. Now, we do understand that not all localities have started those conversations around project sustainability, but if you have, we would like to know kind of what those plans entail. And we would also like to know if there's any discrepancies or any relevant information regarding your expenditures. If you could elaborate that information in the third box on the narrative tab, that would be great as well. The final section of this narrative report entails a signature and a date and title. So basically, this is where your city or county executive or their designee would certify the report. We do want to emphasize that while this certification is included on the narrative report, that certification applies to all attachments and all components of this annual reporting workbook. So you will just have to get that signature and that certification within the narrative tab that one time.
And just wanted to add that if whether or not you want to send this through an e-signature process or, print it out and have a wet signature and scan a copy back to us, either way is fine.
So the next component of the annual report consists of a financial report. Again, in this financial reporting tab, you will only enter information in the blue highlighted cells. So again, here you can see that some cells are blue, some cells are gray. The gray cells will automatically populate once you enter in your numbers and your information in the blue cells. So for this particular section, and for the individual distribution annual report, you will start by entering in any direct distribution funds that were pledged as a match for your individual distribution fiscal year 2024 award. If you did not pledge a direct distribution match for your project, you would ultimately leave that information as 0. In addition to indicating what amount you pledged, if you had a pledge of direct distribution for your individual distribution award, you will also indicate your total fiscal year expenditures. Again, be mindful of that fiscal year 2024 period of performance. If you're unsure whether or not your locality pledged a match of direct distribution funds, you can locate that information in your award package or feel free to reach out to us and we can kind of assist you with that information. Okay. In the next portion, you will indicate your fiscal year 2024 awarded individual distribution funds. So this section, everyone is going to have some number to enter. Again, if you're not sure what your award was, definitely look at or review your fiscal year 2024 award package. And then we also want you to indicate, in addition to what your awarded funds were for individual distribution, we also want to know what your total actual expenditures were for fiscal year 2024. And again, those total 2024 remaining balances will automatically pre-populate. The next section is related to gold standards. So if you had any gold standard incentive funds that were applied to your individual distribution award, you would enter those gold standard amounts in the amount awarded, and then you would also indicate how much of those gold standard incentive awarded funds you expended, again, for the fiscal year 2024 period of performance. Again, not all localities have received gold standard funds, so definitely review your award package or reach out to us to determine if you're unsure, to determine if that applies to your individual distribution award. And then the final section for total revenue for your individual distribution award is other revenue sources. So if you had a non-OAA match, if you had any type of other matching funds from, your local CSB or any other organizations or localities or other organizations, you would enter that information as you pledge that match for your individual distribution award. And then you would also indicate if you've had any expenditures for the fiscal year 2024 period of performance in that section. Again, not all localities have other revenue sources matched to support their individual distribution project. So you would review your fiscal year 2024 award package and see if that applies to your award. After you've entered all of your revenue information into this section of the financial report, the gray highlighted cells will automatically populate, and they'll calculate your total amount of revenue awarded or pledged for your individual distribution project. And then it will also calculate your total fiscal year expenditures and your total fiscal year remaining balance based on your revenues. The second section of the financial report is related to expenditures. And as you can see here on the screen, all of those cells are gray because those numbers will automatically populate from the other two tabs. So we do have a specific tab for personnel expenses and operating and capital expenses. And those expenses will be automatically populated from the information that you enter on the third and fourth tabs of the annual report. Once you enter in the information on those other tabs, you will see at the bottom of the screen here, you'll see your award and expenditure reconciliation, which will automatically populate. And then you'll have an automatic total for your final fiscal year 2024 OAA balance. And we'll kind of show you what that entails once we go to the personnel and operating and capital tabs. One additional note. If the OAA has reached out to you and asked you to submit a fiscal year 2024 carry forward report, your final fiscal year 2024 OAA balance should reconcile with the totals you reported for your fiscal year carry forward total. If there's any questions on that, certainly feel free to reach out to us and we can kind of help you work through those questions or issues that you're having. So the next tab entails a personnel expense report. And again, you'll only enter information in the blue highlighted cells. The gray highlighted cells will automatically calculate. So in this report, you are going to provide us with the breakdown of any salaried and or wage or part-time personnel that are compensated using funds from your fiscal year 2024 individual distribution award. So in the first portion of this report, you're going to indicate if there are salary personnel, you would indicate the position type or a description or their title. You would indicate the number of FTEs for that respective position. And then based on your individual distribution award, we want to know how much was awarded to support that particular position, as well as how much you actually expended during the fiscal year 2024 period of performance. Again, the final total, once you've entered in all of your salary positions, if you have any associated with your individual distribution award, you'll get a final total and we'll have those final numbers that are pre-populated. In terms of the wage and part-time staff component of this report, you're going to enter in again the position type or description for that position. If you have more than one part-time staff or part-time wage personnel member, you're going to enter the number of staff you have for that respective position, how much of your individual distribution award has been awarded to support that position, and then you'll also indicate how much you've expended over the fiscal year 2024 period of performance. Totals from this tab will automatically populate and go back to the financial reporting tab. Those numbers will automatically be entered here for the personnel related section of your expenses category. Next. In this section, this is the operating and capital expense reporting tab. Again, we're only entering information into those blue highlighted cells. In this section, if you've had any approved operating expenses that are associated with your fiscal year 2024 individual distribution award, you're going to provide us with a description of what those operating expenses are, how much of your individual distribution award was allocated or approved to support those expenses, and then how much you've actually spent during the fiscal year 24 period of performance for those operating expenses. Same situation with the capital expenses. If you've had any approved capital expenses to utilize your fiscal year 24 individual distribution grant awards for, provide us with a description, how much was approved or awarded to support those capital expenses, and then how much you've actually expended during fiscal year 2024 to support those capital expenses. Again, same situation for this particular reporting tab. Once you've entered in your text into the blue highlighted cells, your final totals will automatically populate back to your financial reporting tab for the operating and capital expenses section. This is the final portion of the annual report in terms of the reporting workbook. So this is going to be the final tab in that reporting workbook related to your performance measures. So for this section, you're going to indicate your OAA approved performance measures. Now, we know not all projects will utilize all of the performance measures that are listed. So you want to make sure that you review your fiscal year 2025 renewal application to see what those performance measures are for your respective award if you don't know. And if you have any questions on that, certainly feel free to reach out to us and we can assist you. But in addition to indicating what your performance measures entail, what were your approved fiscal year 2024 period of performance, approved performance measures, we want to know what your actual numbers entail. And so that's going to be one key component of this particular reporting workbook tab. We really want to know what were your actual outcomes that you were able to achieve as a result of your project for fiscal year 2024. Again, be mindful of that period of performance. So we only want the data from July 1st, 2023 through June 30th of 2024. If there are any discrepancies between your OAA approved performance measure numbers and your actual performance measure numbers, we want you to provide an explanation regarding those discrepancies in the comment section. And again, when we talked about the narrative reporting tab, there's a section there as well for you to kind of elaborate on if you've had any challenges meeting your OAA approved performance measures. What were those challenges? What actions did you take to kind of overcome those challenges? What was the plan to get as close to your approved performance measures as possible? We're going to actually pull up a copy of this tab on the report to kind of show you those drop-down options. And again, for this report, we don't expect you to indicate to list all of the performance measures. You'll only list those performance measures that are relevant to your fiscal year 2024 individual distribution award. And you'll only indicate what your approved OAA performance measures were compared to your actual performance measures and provide any explanations regarding discrepancies. So you can see the report here on the screen. It's automatically pre-populated with a drop-down option for you to select those individual measures by category.
And just to add, we're looking the performance measures as approved. We're in the performance measure workbook that was submitted with your application. And in the actuals, it's what did you achieve? So not a guesstimate of what you got. Would be, wanting there to be data collection methods that back up these numbers here. Because eventually, when we get to the point of doing site visits for these things, we'll be looking to see what some of these performance measures look like in action. Okay. All right, so the final item for individual distribution annual reporting is we need a copy, it kind of attached in, so an additional attachment to the email along with the report of kind of a detailed transaction report from the city or county general ledger that would show the kind of detailed transactions that reconcile to the amounts that were reported to be spent and remaining. There's not a specific format for this, but I'm looking for more than just, like a small budget report that says, $100 budget, $50 spent, $50 remaining. I'm looking to see that we spent $25 on supplies and $50 on, on salaries or things like that. I don't need, I'm not looking for the level of detail to know about how much was spent on an individual person, especially as it comes to benefits and stuff like that. That can be considered private information, so that stuff can be kind of rolled up. And if you need to kind of make everything balance, if you have like an Excel document with the details and you want to create a pivot table to kind of show us how everything adds up, that's certainly fine. If you're not sure, feel free to reach out to us and show us what you're working with, and we can tell you what the easiest way is to get this stuff to us. But this will help us be able to show that we're doing a check on financial transactions as part of our annual reporting. And ultimately this is a the report is a requirement of the OAA, but the idea is we're trying to make sure we're getting ahead of any potential issues that might be potentially perceived by the settling companies, to make sure we're all going in the right direction, and that if any questions that come up from them can be approved and can be proved and supported. So I'm going to go now. We are at a question break here. So there are a couple of questions that have come in the chat. I'm going to go answer those first. There was a question about the where can we find the workbooks? They are on the grants portal under the individual distribution. Reports are under the individual distribution tabs, and the cooperative reports are the cooperative distribution tabs. It's on both tabs. It's the same report no matter which tab you click on, but there is one for individual and one for cooperative. There is a question, another question about whether or not this reporting applies to planning grants for FY24, and it does not. We will be doing that's a great question, and I should have predicated the beginning of this presentation with that. We will be doing a separate outreach to those cities and counties with planning grants to check on status and work on reporting around those, because the reporting requirements are a little bit different than they are for a regular project grant. So there's another question about, is the reporting required if a carry forward workbook has already been completed? Yes, it is. The carry forward workbook was just to true up if there were any differences between what was projected in April when your application was submitted and where you ended at the end of the year. And this report takes on a lot more information, especially around performance measures and more expenditure details, than as well as kind of some of the narrative status questions than the carry forward workbook did. And there's another one. So do you want us to send a check register as long as it doesn't contain PII or HIPAA info? That's fine. Whatever's the easiest way for you to show us how the expenditures were put out. If they're being paid by check, that's fine as well. But yes, definitely not looking for anything with any HIPAA information, any PII. Roll all that stuff up so it's more anonymous and whatnot. And we tried to set the workbook up so that salary and benefits and stuff all get rolled in. If there's multiple positions with the same title, then that all gets rolled up into just one line. So one other question: if we decided not to apply in FY24 for individual gold standard and instead wait till FY25, do we need to do a carry forward request for your individual or gold allocations? No, that does happen automatically. So if you haven't applied for funds that the lookup tool shows that are available in FY23 or FY24, those funds are still available. They're available for up to 5 years. So your FY23 funds need to be applied for by like July, or excuse me, I think by April of 2028, 24 by April of 2029, that type of thing. We'll be providing some more additional details and guidance around that. But those though it's fine if you have not applied for them, you do not need to do a report or do the carry forward. The carry forward was for reporting workbook was just for those groups that were awarded in FY24 and had funds that were going to go from they needed to take from 24 to 25, and we needed to make sure got we had the proper number. Can just see there's another question about other revenue sources. Is this where we put direct distributions allocated? The other revenue sources would be like non-settlement funds. So there's a section for direct distributions. There's a section for individual distributions, section for gold standard. The other section would be like if your locality put forth general funds, if you had another grant, like maybe a SOAR grant or a CDC grant or something that was playing into this, or you had some money given like on behalf of the city or county to the project, those types of things. So don't have any other questions showing right now. There'll be another opportunity at the end to ask questions. To get one more. For non-OAA funds received, is there a time frame that they have to be spent by or carryover reporting or request? So for non-OAA funds, which is direct distribution as well as those other revenue sources, we're not really, they're your funds and you're pledging them. We're not really in a position to kind of approve a carry forward. What I would be looking for is how much did you pledge and how much did you spend? And then as far as, whether or not there's anything carry forward, that would have been dealt with in like a renewal application where you would say, hey, we pledged this much, we're only going to spend this much, and then in the new year, we're going to pledge this much. It's kind of your funds. I don't really get into carry forward for those funds. We really focus the carry forward only on the OAA funds, because that's all that our that our grants committee is approving. And additionally, it's kind of up to you how you want to use those funds year to year. But do understand when they are pledged that we are approving that that award contingent on those funds going to that program. So as I mentioned, so I think we'll pause on questions for here so we can get into the cooperative portion. You will see a lot of similarities as we go through that with some more detailed focus on the cooperative types of information that's needed, but we'll have another opportunity for questions at the end. So, Sharekka.
Okay. Next slide. So in covering the Cooperative Partnership Annual Reporting Workbook, again, the first tab will include reporting instructions. We strongly encourage you to read those instructions, but there's a few highlights that I would like to mention. Again, this is a requirement of your fiscal year 2024 Cooperative Partnership Award. The report must be completed and submitted to the OAA via email by 11:59 on September 1st. And then all of the tabs must be completed before you submit it to us. And the report must be certified by the fiscal agent, city or county executive, or their designee. So for the first portion of the report, again, that encompasses a narrative report. The fiscal agent, city or county, will select from the drop-down box, select that fiscal agent, city or county name on this tab. Again, the grant type cooperative partnership is already selected for you, and then you will actually manually enter in your cooperative partnership project name. Once you enter that information on this narrative tab, it will automatically populate to all of the other tabs within the annual reporting workbook. So in terms of the narrative report, again, that first section, the first box of that narrative report is where we want you to indicate any successes that you've had with your cooperative partnership project. We want to know any challenges that you've experienced during the period of performance. Again, that's that July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2024. And then if you've had any challenges, we want to know what actions you and your partner localities have taken to try to address those challenges with this cooperative partnership award. So again, in boxes 2 and 3 of this particular narrative report, we want a narrative update regarding your project's impact on all of the partner localities, cities, and or county communities. We also want to know in box 3, we want to know if there are any plans for the sustainability of this project. We know again that that may not be relevant for all cooperative partnership fiscal year 2024 awards. However, if you've started having those discussions, we would like to know kind of what your plans are again at the end of the fiscal year 2024 period of performance in terms of project sustainability. In addition to project sustainability, we also want to know any pertinent details regarding your expenditures. And then again, at the bottom of the narrative report, we require the signature and the certification of this report by the fiscal agent, city or county executive, or their designee. Again, that certification applies while it is on the narrative tab, it applies to all of the components, all of the tabs of the annual report, as well as any other attachments that are sent to us as a part of your annual reporting requirement. So in terms of the financial report, again, this report kind of operates similar to what we've discussed with the individual distribution report. However, there are a few slight differences. So the first section of the report entails your direct distribution funds that are pledged as a match for your cooperative project. If you'll see that first row under direct distribution, the city and county, so that is always going to automatically pre-populate with the fiscal agent, city or county. So you won't have to enter that information. If there are no direct distribution funds that are pledged as a match for your cooperative project, you would just leave that information as is on the screen. You would leave it 0. However, if you have pledged or any of your partner localities have pledged direct distribution funds as a match to support this cooperative project, you would indicate the amount pledged to support your cooperative project, and then you would indicate the actual fiscal year 2024 amount of expenditures that you've had to support your cooperative project. If any of your partner localities have pledged a direct distribution match for your cooperative project, you're going to choose that locality's name from the drop-down options as shown here under the direct distributions section. Again, we understand not all localities have pledged direct distribution funds as a match to support the cooperative project. So you would definitely want to review your award package just to make sure that applies to you or it doesn't apply to you. And again, if you have any questions, certainly feel free to reach out to us and we can assist you. Same situation for individual distributions. So again, that first row under individual distributions is always going to be the fiscal agent locality. Again, if your fiscal agent for your cooperative project has not pledged any individual distribution funds, you would leave that information 0 as shown on the screen for both columns. However, if you have pledged a individual distribution match for your cooperative project, you would enter in the amount pledged as a match in the first column, and then the amount of total expenditures from fiscal year 2024 in the second column. Again, for partner localities, you would have to select those localities from the drop-down box underneath the fiscal agent row. And then we also, again, understand that not all cooperative projects have individual distribution funds pledged as a match for their project. The next section entails gold standard incentives that are again pledged as a match to support a cooperative project. Same situation, the first row is always going to be the fiscal agent. If there were gold standard funds that were pledged as a match, you would indicate the amount pledged as a match. And then you would also indicate your total fiscal year 2024 gold standard expenses. Same situation for any partner localities that have pledged gold standard funds as a match. Again, if you're not sure, review your award package or reach out to us and we can assist you, because not all cooperative projects have gold standard funds pledged as a match to support the project. The next section is cooperative partnerships. So for this section, the fiscal agent is going to automatically be selected, and you must enter something into this section. So you have to enter in what your cooperative partnership fiscal year 2024 award amount is, and then if you've had any fiscal year 2024 expenses, you would indicate what those expenses are in the second section or the second cell. This is very, very important. This is basically the meat of what all of it is important, but this is the meat of what we're trying to understand and get you to report on. And so make sure that you enter in something for this section. If not any of the other sections, make sure that something is entered into this section. And again, if you have any questions, you can find this information from your fiscal year 2024 award package.
Yeah, this would be the cooperative funds that you had to compete for, different than the matching funds you may have provided along with the project.
The next section includes other revenue sources. So again, this is the section Charlie was mentioning. These are basically non-OAA matching funds to support your cooperative project. So again, if your locality pledged general funds, or you have another grant, whether it's a CDC grant or whatever to support your project, this is where you would enter in that information, and you would enter it for the entire cooperative project. So whatever it was that you've included in terms of other revenue sources in your fiscal year 2024 application, you would also indicate that information here. You would indicate how much was pledged to support as a match to support the project, as well as how much you've actually expended from those other revenue sources. In that first column where it says source of revenue, local federal grant, you're able to revise that cell to indicate what that other revenue source actually entails. So you would enter in that information, enter your pledged or matched amount, and then your fiscal year 2024 amount. Once we realize not all cooperative projects have an other revenue source associated with it. However, once you enter in that information, if it's relevant to your award, then all of the revenue total, so your total amount of revenue for your cooperative project, as well as your total amount of expenses, all of those cells that are highlighted in gray will pre-populate with those totals based on what you've entered into the different categories. The second part of the financial report entails a expense report. Again, you can see that all of the cells listed here are highlighted in gray. So those, again, will automatically pre-populate. Those numbers in terms of your expenses by expense category will be automatically filled in from the personnel expense tab, and then your operating and capital expense tab. So once you've entered in that information into those other two tabs, all of your totals here will automatically populate and calculate, and then you'll see an award and expenditure reconciliation in terms of your total amount awarded versus your total amount expended, and then how much of your fiscal year 2024 cooperative award is remaining. And then you'll also see a final fiscal year 2024 OAA balance, and that includes only OAA awarded funds. So for the personnel expense reporting tab, again, you're only going to enter information into the blue highlighted cells. The gray cells will automatically populate. So in this section, we want a breakdown of any salaried positions or any wage or part-time positions that your fiscal year 2024 cooperative partnership award has been funded to support. And so you would indicate under the first section, you would indicate a position type or description for any salary positions. You would indicate the number of FTEs, and then you would indicate the amount that was awarded to support that position and how much you've expended in fiscal year 2024 to support that position. The same situation for the wage and part-time staff, you would indicate the position type or description. If you've had more than one of the same position funded with your cooperative partnership funds, you're going to indicate the number of wage or part-time staff, how much of your cooperative partnership award was funded to support that position, and then how much you've actually expended in fiscal year 2024. Again, once you've entered in totals into this tab, they will automatically pre-populate back to your financial reporting tab for the personnel expense section of the financial report. The next section is the operating and capital expense reporting tab. Again, you're only going to enter information into the blue highlighted cells. So for this section, the operating expenses, if your cooperative partnership award has been approved to support any operating expenses, you're going to provide us with the description of what those expenses are. You're going to indicate how much of your award was funded to support those expenses, and then how much you have actually expended, again, during the fiscal year period of performance. And you're going to do the same for any capital expenses. You're going to provide us with the description, how much of your cooperative partnership award supports those capital expenses, how much have you actually expended during fiscal year 2024. And once you've entered in that information, your totals will automatically pre-populate again back to your financial reporting tab for the operating and capital expenses section. And then in terms of the cooperative partnership performance measures reporting workbook. So for this tab, again, you're going to indicate only your actual OAA approved performance measures. So again, there is a drop-down option for you to select the different objectives under those various performance measures, and you're going to indicate the OAA fiscal year 2024 approved performance measures, and then we want to know your the actual measures that you've achieved during the fiscal year 2024 period of performance. So you don't need to select all of them, only select the options that are relevant to your cooperative partnership award, and then you're going to provide your approved performance measures and your actual, what you've actually achieved during the fiscal year 2024 period of performance. And then if there are any discrepancies, you're going to elaborate on those discrepancies in the comment section for us. Again, there is a section in the narrative report for you to also elaborate on any discrepancies between your approved and your actual performance measures. But this is just our way of trying to capture that information as a part of this annual reporting requirement.
All right, and just like on the individual, there's also a general ledger report that should be attached along with the reporting workbook, detailed transaction report from the city county's general ledger that reconciles to the amount spent and remaining. So note there is if matching funds were expended directly by a partner city or county, i.e. they weren't sent to the fiscal agent to spend, then we need a copy of that city or that partner city or county's ledger also to reflect what happened with those matching funds. Individual distribution of gold standard matches go directly to the city and county that pledged them, and then your operational agreements tell you how, have you decide who gets the money and who spends it how. We're not really concerned about how it's done. We just need to be able to see that information there. And let me add one more thing, and then we'll just go into final questions here. There are a few projects for FY24 that had capital costs that were required to complete a capital cost agreement. Oops, sorry. And there's also an annual declaration that goes along with that to ensure that the property is still being used for its original awarded purposes. We're working on a form letter for those few cities and counties that are that have this requirement, and we will reach out directly to you with those, and we can support you and answer any questions on that. That letter's still being going through our legal review. But if you don't get an email from us asking you to fill out a letter, you don't need to worry about any type of capital costs declaration. So, and also, lastly, some additional information. Our website, you can also see there's a direct link to the Abatement Academy. That's which you can go directly with the link, or when you come on our homepage, you can select Abatement Academy at the top. We have all of our webinars from last year are posted along with their slide decks, and then this year's will be posted as well. The recording of this presentation as well as this slide deck will be posted, and as soon as they are, I will send out a newsletter through our news email update list. If you haven't signed up for it, go to our homepage, sign up's at the bottom, and then our contact info is here. So have a couple of questions. September 1st is a Sunday. September 2nd is Labor Day. So is it acceptable to submit on September 3rd? It would be great if it could be. I know September 1st is a Sunday. We are trying to, well, most of the time it's not. We're trying to maintain the same date and same time frame from the end of the performance period. This is also to give us the chance to review all the reports that come in before October 1 when the next period opens up. So if you can submit it on or before September 1st, that would be fantastic. If you are having any issues or like you need an extension or something, please reach out to us directly, and we can work with you to see what we can do to support you there. There was another question that came in, is if we pledge direct funds as a match for a cooperative, we still have to report even though we aren't the fiscal agent. So if you're pledged matching funds, direct individual gold standard to a cooperative project, only one report needs to come forth for that project, and it needs to come through the fiscal agent. So if you are not the fiscal agent, you will be working and sending information to the fiscal agent, who will compile everything and put it together to send to us. So they will be responsible for that. I do not want 5 individual distribution and direct distribution reports for a cooperative and then a separate cooperative report. One report that contains everything related to that project for the cooperative. Are there any other questions? You can use the chat, or if you would like, you can raise your hand, and we can our Zoom master can promote you so that you can speak.
No other questions are showing up, Charlie.
Okay. Well, I thank everyone for their attendance today. Again, this will be posted on our website, so you can refer to this video, you can refer to this slide deck, which will also be downloadable, and you can certainly reach out to Sharekka directly. There's always the info@voaa.us. You can reach out to one of the regional coordinators. We're all here to help everyone get to we're all swimming to the same island of trying to make sure this money gets spent for the right purposes and gets out there to help people. And this is just part of the process. Additionally, as I mentioned, we are on schedule for when the next period opens in October for everything to be done online through our grants management system. So when we come around to this next year, the lift won't be quite so heavy as far as all the things that have been, approved as part of the award. All that stuff should come forward and auto-populate for you, so you only have to enter the actuals as part of the report. So, last chance for any final questions. Going once, going twice. A big thanks to Sharekka. She did the lion's share of the work on getting these templates together and functional, as well as this slide deck. And she is a seasoned grants professional and is yet another resource that we have here for you. And as well as Jenny and Kat in the northern and eastern regions have been working very hard to learn the settlement processes they've been on about a month, maybe a little over a month, maybe a month and a half. And they're getting their feet under them and are ready to assist anyone that needs as well. So again, I thank you for attending, and do check out the website and register for any of the other abatement academies that you may be interested in attending in the future. Thanks again.